What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and as you can see by these boxes that I'm surrounded by and these minis that are in front of me, I'm here to talk to you about Steamforged Games' Epic Encounter line. There are currently 6 different options available, 3 of these larger boss encounters, which you see in front of me here, and 3 of what I'm going to refer to as minion encounters. They are available right now on Steamforged.com, so I'll have links to that in the description. You can go and pick those up. Also, thank you to Steamforged Games for sending these over for review purposes. I will say that, again, they sent them for review purposes, but this is not a sponsored video. My opinions are 100% my own. That being said, these are amazing. Not just in the quality, but in the package as a whole in what you get. If you take a look here, not only do you get this actually really beautiful, striking box that will, I'd imagine, at least catch people's attention in a game shop on a store shelf or something like that, with the sort of the grayscale image and the bright pink lettering. It even has kind of like a texture to the lettering. Not that you really care about what the outside of the box feels like, but still well done overall. Each one comes with so much more than just the singular large mini or the set of smaller minis that are in the other box. It's really probably one of the best bang for your buck on unpainted minis out there. And I'll say this up front, if I was going to start all over in my quest of collecting unpainted minis that I will maybe one day get around to painting, this is where I'd start. So if you're looking to break into the world of D&D minis and you want to go unpainted and learn that whole process for yourself, I'm going to recommend you go with Steamforged Games' Epic Encounters, because what you're going to get inside is really unmatched by anything I've seen so far. So I took a look on their website just to see a little bit more about what I could find. Not only will you see the different sets there, most of them you can see high-quality images of all the minis that you see. And I'll splice footage of me kind of filming some of these as we go through this. But for the most part, I mean, you can see everything in high-quality detail on the website. And if you were to look at some of these up close that I'll show you, the quality on the website pretty much does it the best justice that you're going to get. But I'll showcase some of that as we go along. It says on their website that it says 2 to 6 hours. So I assume that's per encounter box, not necessarily for all of them, though it doesn't necessarily say. And I wanted to give you pricing, and then we'll talk about the sets. So you sort of have red, blue, and green, and we'll start with red, which is sort of the kobolds and the dragon theme. We have Shrine of the Kobold Queen, which will run you $49.95, and that's right here on the bottom. This one has 20 miniatures in it. They all, and I'll showcase some of this, they all include an adventure booklet, which not only includes the adventure itself written around it, including in some instances scalability of play to run at different tiers, adventure hooks, treasure. It also includes monster stat blocks, because while these are kobolds, these are firebrand kobolds, so they are a slightly different variety than those you'd see in the monster manual. And again, 100% 5e compatible. There is no assembly required, no glue, no adhesive, none of that stuff. And they all also come with a double-sided battle map. And this is a high-quality, maybe vinyl or mylar battle map, so it'll stand up to spills. It will probably be either dry or wet erase. I haven't tested that myself. Shrine of the Kobold Queen, 20 minis. That will run you $49.95, and its sort of comparison boss encounter is Lair of the Red Dragon. The Red Dragon you see right here. That will also run you $49.95. Now there's more that I'm going to talk about in a sec, but let's just get through the pricing of everything so that's out of the way. Then next we have the blue minis, which is Hall of the Orc King. Once again, 20 minis in that box set for $49.95, and then the giant sort of cap encounter, the Caverns of the Frost Giant, that'll run you $39.95. And then lastly is the green set, which is Village of the Goblin Chief, which is 20 minis in this box for $49.95, and Swamp of the Hydra for $39.95. So somewhere you're pretty much in the $39 to $49 frame for each one of these. And they're usable completely standalone. Like, you could purchase Lair of the Red Dragon, and inside the Lair of the Red Dragon book, similar to what I have here with the Frost Giant, will be, if I were to take a look at the table of contents, it will give you lore about the encounter. Right here at the start, it has scalability for tier of plays and things like that. It'll give you adventure hooks to how to get, you're going to get your party involved going there. The lair, right, because all of the boss encounters have lairs, as all good boss encounters do. There is a combat dashboard here, which if I were to flip to that, will sort of show you what kind of things you have going on, right? So for the Caverns of the Frost Giant, for example, there is reflections off of the ice. There is freezing cold. The floors are slippery, things like that. So it will help provide different, aspects to change the way combat goes and alter the terrain. They also have a bunch of sections, at least in this particular one, about traps. So those are something else to encounter. And they have them all kind of listed out and how they work. And they also have, I want to flip to it here. This is my favorite thing. And it's here, this says Frost Giant Attack Pattern, and we have one for the others as well. Because something we don't have in 5e, which I think is sorely missed, is in older editions in the Monster Manual, under a monster's given stat block, it would say, in combat, the monster will start its turn doing this, and then as combat progresses, it will do, whatever it is. So, for example, with the Frost Giant here, it starts with multi-attack, and it tells you who it's going to target and its behavior. And then what its next move is Ice Shield, and then it goes through this whole list of what it's going to do and who it's targeting, right? Because, some of these creatures are pretty intelligent. So, for example, multi-attack on the first turn, it's going to target the magic user, the most obvious magic user. And it says a bellow of fury, a pointed finger, and a ferocious charge. And it says right here, GM tip, the Frost Giant really, really doesn't like magic. It's going straight for the person who looks like a wizard or sorcerer, and it's going to mince them. And you're going to get that kind of information for the entire attack pattern. Here, there's 7 turns, right? So that's realistically probably a pretty long combat if you run 7 turns or more, and you'll have that again for the Hydra as well as for the Dragon. There's this other really good section in here. Where is it? Cinematic moments. It says, every great battle has its awe-inspiring moments, those which leave witnesses astounded. Try using these in your encounter to surprise, shock, and entertain your players. We've also included a proposed time in the encounter at which it might be useful to deploy these cinematic moments. I won't spoil them for you, but there are 4 listed here, and there's a bunch of really cool, interesting things you can do to sort of make the encounter that much more epic and cinematic. And then again, you have treasure and the stat blocks. So, for example, in this, we have Grimfang Orcs, Frost Giant Calf, Frost Giant Moraine, and the Glacial Frost Giant. So I'll talk more about that in a sec here. So that's what you're going to get, something like that included in every one of the boss encounters. The boss encounters will also include a set of tokens. For example, here we have, looks like 12 Grimfang Orcs pop-out cardboard tokens. These are not just standard cardboard. They do have some sort of coating on the outside, so they might, again, light spills and possible minimal water damage. And these ones up top here are traps. And then also included in every encounter, every box, will get you a double-sided battle map. And if you were to take a look, these are not small, right? That's not a small map. And it's double-sided, showing 2 different sections. So you're going to get that kind of stuff in each one of these encounters. So again, all of the lower level minion encounters will include the 20 minions, or the 20 minis inside. They're all, again, high quality, and they're all kind of the same design, which is another thing that I really like about these, is these 3 sets are probably some of the most common low-level creatures you will throw at players, right? Goblins, kobolds, and orcs. And whenever those encounters happen, you're never having an encounter typically with just 1 kobold or 1 goblin. It's a bunch of them, and you have 20 of them in a variety of different things. We have mounted versions, right? We have goblins mounted on frogs, kobolds mounted on like fire drakes, and orcs mounted on polar bears, which, again, if that's not awesome enough. And then you have a variety, right? Some might be pikemen, some might be archers, some might be shamans, all different kinds of different minis. And I like that because if you're going to try to build these out, it gives you an opportunity, if you're breaking out into minis, to try different techniques. If you like building a certain palette, like you could build a, come up with a certain paint set that you want to go and come up with, this is the palette of colors I'm going to use for the kobolds. They are this, and now I have that kind of color palette design, and I can sort of assembly line go through and paint them all this way. I also really like the kobold minis because they have a very crocodilian, tyrannosaurus-y kind of vibe to their faces, and less kind of dragon dog-ish like you have in the 5th edition ones. These are very much reptilian, and I really, really like that. Which you can kind of, I don't know if you can see it from here, but you'll see it on the close-ups. It's kind of how the dragon is designed as well. They're sort of formed in the same image. So you've got all that going for you, but you can run any of these individually. You could buy just Lair of the Red Dragon and run that as its own standalone adventure using everything contained inside. But the real winner is if you buy the minion encounter and the associated boss encounter, you can sort of run them together. So start off with Shrine of the Kobold Queen, run that entire adventure, and cap it off with Lair of the Red Dragon as sort of the boss fight finale. And what's also cool about that is you don't need to use the pop-out tokens that come with the boss encounters. You can just use the minis that you have in here. So say there's 12 kobolds, 12 kobold tokens in the Lair of the Red Dragon. You can just use 12 of your minis from Shrine of the Kobold Queen, and they synergize together, and they're designed to do that. Again, the red minis, correlate with the red minis, and it's the same thing with the orc and the hydra here, right? You'll have goblins to use in the hydra encounter and orcs to use in the giant encounter. So I think they shine the most when you buy the associated minion and boss encounter, but they'll work entirely on their own. And if the website says it's 2 to 6 hours of play, well, then this could be a whole night. This could be a whole weekend. And if you get creative in how you go about it, you might be able to run all 6 of these as sort of a mini campaign, one segueing into another as you kind of level up and get stronger and go through it. They don't really, again, it doesn't say they require no glue and no assembly. The Hydra is a solid piece. Nothing is required for that. The dragon, the wings come separate, so you do have to kind of insert those in. There are keyways in there to do so. I wasn't able to push mine in fully, so I might need to do a little bit of possible trimming, but I think they're pretty much in there, and they're not going anywhere. And then the giant's base is separate, and you can see he's kind of got a smooth criminal lean going on here. And that's because I actually had a pretty hard time getting his feet to sit down in the spot. So if I kind of push on him, you'll see I can get him to stand up there. But the quality on these is fantastic. You can see sort of like the feather and fur on the frost giant, the moss growing on this kind of hydra, and the different scale patterns and the little gold pieces on the base of the dragon. These are some of the nicest minis that I've seen in a while. The only thing I will kind of nitpick on this is nowhere included in these and nowhere that I could see easily on the website was a painting guide. Now they might have like Steamforged game painting guide on a separate section of the website, but specifically in the Epic Encounter section, I did not see anything about that. And again, because I'm coming out and saying that this is a really great starter kit to get into, because not only do you get the minis, but you also get the adventures and a map to go along with it. If it's your first time getting into minis, you probably might not know how to paint those. So I would warn, I mean, these look really high quality. I don't see you really needing to do much, maybe a coat of primer and then start painting. Who knows, these might even be ready to paint without a primer. But I don't know because I don't have, any information or paint guide of any kind that I could see. Again, maybe it's on the website under like Steamforged mini painting guide separate from Epic Encounters, but I would include the two together because it would make, it easier for people who are new to try to find this information. We have the red, blue, and green sets. I like this concept of sort of the minion and boss encounter all being color themed, and we still have a bunch of colors left in the rainbow we could do. We could do a yellow encounter, a purple encounter, an orange encounter, and I'm curious to see what your thoughts are. If you were going to have Steamforged Games make another set, what is another good set that you can start off with a decent amount of lower level minions to then add a higher level boss to go with it? The first thing that springs to mind for me are gnolls as maybe like the yellow or orange set for the minion encounter, but I don't really know how you'd cap off with the boss encounter because these are all much larger minis, and like when I think of a gnoll, I'm like, oh, a Flind maybe, or a Fang of Yinagu, but they're not giant big minis like these. And I'll be honest with you, if you're a producer of unpainted minis, you gotta be on the lookout, man, because Steamforged Games is coming for you with these minis. I mean, like I said, the packaging is great. You can see it right here. That one kind of just fell a little bit, but I mean, you've got all these different minis all lined up perfectly. You even got other things like this kobold one. There's a basilisk in here. which is nice. You know, you got a bunch of different options for you here, and I am a really, really big fan. Thank you again, Steamforged Games. I haven't said that enough, but thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts again in the comments down below, and I will see you all next time.